If you have sex with someone, is it just an ongoing amount of farts? Like, is that what it sounds like?
Me in particular? Or are you just asking in general?
Well, just because... No, I'm asking because of the bed.
Hey, real quick question. When you have sex, does it sound like just like a ton of farts? Hello, everybody. TimH Kish here. I'm joined today by TimH, the illustrious, the wonderful, and Dom, the usual, the everyday.
Neat.
Today we're talking about Civil War. We all saw it last night at the midnight release. Not at midnight. I saw mine at 8 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
There are no fucking rules anymore. No one has any respect for the law.
It's out the window.
Overall thoughts on the movie. General thoughts.
It's great.
It's great.
Yeah, I would go with great. It has no business being as good as it is. Like, it's sort of, with all those elements, and all those characters, and all the stuff going on, it should be a mess, it shouldn't work, it should be incoherent, and I think mainly, more so due to really strong direction than writing. I think it flows, and it works. I think it's a real accomplishment as a superhero movie, more so than, like, as a piece of, like, storytelling. Significantly more successfully than Age of Ultron. Like, that was my big, like, thing.
You thought that this was a more complete package than Ultron? Like a more... I felt like this movie was very much like a fucking big amalgam of stuff slapped on wheels that just managed to stay in the shape of a car. You know what I mean? Like, this is... There's way too much going on.
So these are Tim's thoughts?
Yeah. Get ready.
There's way too much going on in this movie, first of all. It's got sort of the same issues that Batman vs. Superman has. There's too much going on, not enough for me to get invested in any of it. But I will say this. Marvel has earned it at this point. What this movie really was to me is the first true realization of episodic filmmaking that we've been talking about, these superhero movies moving towards for so long. This felt like an episode in a long, weird movie TV show, or whatever the hell you want to call this form. I don't think it's necessarily bad because of that, but I walked out of it with kind of like a so-so feeling.
There were moments watching it where I was like, wait, who does he... When? It felt like a book. It felt like a novel. Like, there's just globe-trotting event, just this huge political thing. I loved it, first of all. I don't know if I was making it sound like I didn't like it. I, loved it. It gave me the same vibe. Not even just reading the Civil War comics, but when I would read a good comic. The Marvel movies, I realized, and maybe it was Ant-Man that sort of tipped me off to this first, was they operate in a realm different. That realm that they operate in is the, like, this shouldn't fucking work realm.
Absolutely.
And they're sort of judged because they exist in that realm where you're like, oh, literally how?
Yeah.
And then it works. Or it, like, it's not bad, right? And then there's sort of this maybe overly, like, because of that, it's sort of like set, and I don't want to say that it set a low bar for itself.
That's what I mean by, like, pioneering. I was watching the airport scene. I just remember having a moment of, like, I just can't believe this exists. But I think they've accomplished this weird thing where I'm like, sure, push it. Take me somewhere where I couldn't imagine being.
Obviously, it is bizarre, having Batman vs. Superman come up at the same time this movie's coming up. It's like they have the same problems, but something's working in Civil War.
Every time somebody fights someone in the Marvel Universe, they fight them as themselves. Ant-Man is fighting them as the way Ant-Man does. Spidey fights like Spider-Man. Batman vs. Superman felt like they were just hitting each other. Every character in the Marvel movies, even if they feel like a very corporate kind of movie, they all have a soul.
Yeah.
They all have, this is a personality.
Both movies deal with consequences, but one puts all its characters in a more interesting situation as a result of those consequences. One stays true to that theme longer.
Definitely.
Like, the other thing that I keep jumping back to is, like, for a mainstream commercial blockbuster, I love that we have a final fight scene where I'm going, I don't want either of them to kill each other, because I understand both of them. Like, there are two particular scenes that I keep pointing to. There's the first time they have the conversation, and Captain America saying, what if they send us somewhere that we don't want to go?
Yeah.
And Tony saying, we've had all these consequences, and I'm going, I understand both these people.
Yeah.
And the final fight scene where Cap's saying, this is my friend, he didn't know what he was doing, and Tony saying, he killed my mother. And you're watching a movie where you're like, yeah, that is rare. I think in like a big commercial movie, like
there's so much of these movies that are pure reverse engineering, where Black Panther needs to be in this movie, guys. Spider-Man needs to be in this movie, guys. Knowing that full well and it being obvious, the fact that they're still able to weave that into the big picture and have him fit and kind of make sense. And yes, they're just introducing a character, and it's funny. You could have the same gripes about Wonder Woman or whatever, but there's something about it, like it's so just deftly maneuvered. Like they figured it out. They figured out, okay, well, where exactly does he fit and why does that matter?
Yeah, it's still corporately mandated filmmaking. It's still checklists. But one team of writers is responding to the checklist with more flair than the others are.
You know what's amazing about the Marvel Universe to me is that they've spent 5 hours with the Winter Soldier, and I've still managed to not give a fuck about him at all. It's amazing. For as big of a point as he is to the movies, they spend precious little time developing him as a person.
Sure.
Most of them is just like,
that.
it's Captain America going, my little buddy over there, he's not really, he doesn't in control, and he's just sitting, he's like, It's like every scene, it's like, that is a dude! Can we get to know him?
And the closest bit you get is that, do you even remember them? And he's like, I remember everyone. I remember all of them. There are some things that I always have trouble with in movies, no matter what. And so it's funny, it's almost a testament to the movie itself as this big working thing that I still loved it. I don't like pulling the strings bad guys. And I don't like mind control or a very specific reason where everybody else knows what happened. They know why someone did something or the accident that caused something, and still fight about it. Like, on your point of like being able to understand, he killed my mom. You get that. But there's that other part of it where it's like, well, listen, man, you like made Ultron.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Like, and he killed someone totally didn't mean to.
Oh, this could all be solved by just the Winter Soldier speaking to someone. Just saying a few words. Like when the Panther Man is chasing him down the fucking street.
Well, it's funny, it's also like in this universe, if he was like, oh, mind control is what it was. And he, oh, really? Let me slash you with my claws.
Hey, cybernetic synthetic life organism that was actually my computer with its brain implanted in your body. What do you think of this guy over here with the mind control?
And I have those feelings very genuinely, like that is like a critique I have. I don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
But Christ, it still's working, and I don't know what that is.
Just screenwriting 101, I found myself going like, so for instance, twice I had it. Number one with, basically all the elements leading up to that reveal. I remember thinking like, why are we showing this scene of the
right.
And then when it was like, ooh, oh, that's nice. Like that motivates this next moment well. And I felt the same way about like why are we doing the weird hologramic thing with Tony Stark? Okay, so we're reminding you of the messed up dad situation,
That's
and the closure he never got. To then again add to the fuel that you're gonna, because I think it's one of those moments when and Rob Downey Jr. in all fairness sells it really well in his performance. It might be like one of his best performances in a Marvel movie.
He does good.
Because that was absolutely insane. Was that CGI or was that makeup? I couldn't tell.
It was, they did like the Steve Rogers, like the skinny Steve Rogers thing.
It looked fantastic.
They did it with what's his name as well, Michael Douglas. Remember they made him young Hank Pym.
That's true.
And you're like, oh my god.
Is that like Disney patented technology?
I read about it when they did it with Michael Douglas, and I can't remember who
they did
it.
in Tron back in the day, but maybe it wasn't as polished.
They did.
They made Jeff Bridges.
This sounds like a very Disney thing.
It's weird. So as far as I don't love puppet master bad guy, especially in a movie where they're already disagreeing.
He brought them to Siberia to fight each other so he could show them this tape. Why couldn't he show them the tape any other time?
Thematically, he 100% fits in the story.
Exactly.
Like, he lost his family, which was a lovely little thing with the he's listening to a voice and realize it's a message. Him killing the fellow super soldiers, I loved that because why would he want more of them? I love that he technically accomplished his goal.
I think that's a great theme. And I think, but their follow through is dumb.
I almost wonder if it would suffer if you knew what he was up to from very early on. You're in the dark for maybe too long with him. Where you're like, what the hell is this dude doing? And it's, I like that. Because I'm sure some people who love that can argue like, well, it was pulling me along. I was like, what's he doing? Why is he there? Why is he, trying to get him in prison and everything? But it gets convoluted.
I think in terms of being ahead of the audience, maybe some of the frustrating stuff is things like, oh, we know Bucky didn't do it. Like, you have that little thing where you are just waiting for Tony Stark to catch up. But it's weird, though, because, again, like, I'm having too much fun during it.
Like, blast.
Yeah, I think that's the thing people keep jumping back to. It's like, these movies seem to be excited about showing you cool new shit. They're like, come, look, we're gonna get to this thing. And as a result, you forgive the movie tropes a little bit more because you're just like, there's a sense of joy and excitement, and like, I can't wait for you guys to see what we have in store.
This
for you.
movie is drugs.
It gives you the thrill.
Dude, that's what that is. Like, they keep setting this high. Here's a new character, new power. There's actually a line in this movie. I wrote as this was happening. I was like,
"You're pumped about
fuck." And he was just saying like, empires that are toppled by their enemies can rise again. Those that fall from within are like, they stay dead. I don't know, fuck that line up. That's DC and Marvel, where it's like, DC's never gonna beat us, but we're gonna fucking fall apart under the amount of fucking characters in our stupid universe.
It's like a theme park ride. Like, the fact that then you do have, you know, two interesting characters fighting each other, and you have that layer of emotional complexity. That's bonus, but like, but it's delivering on what an action blockbuster mainly needs to do. You know, if this movie was genuinely totally realistic and like purely for intellectuals, it would be like, here's the Sokovia Accords. It would cut to them like 2 hours later, like, okay, section 3B, in the situation where this happens, what happens exactly there? And like, it would just be 12 angry men with the Marvel characters just being like, no, we need to work out the logistics of this document, and
Cap
everything
wants
is solved.
to do that. Cap says like, oh, you know, there'll have to be things. He goes, perfect. Where's Wanda? She's in the house. You locked her in the house! This is over! This was not a Captain America movie, and it should not have been. This should have just been called Civil War. Because you spent just as much time with Tony.
I kept trying to reframe it because something would feel weird, and I'd be like, wait, Captain America movie.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this through the lens. It's Captain America movie.
But
like, dude, it's good. It's really good, and as far as like story structure and that whole thing, this thing was fucking wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know. Yes, you could still do the like, you know, the rising action and the fall, and the climax is the scene at whatever, you know, when they're finally in the prison thing or whatever the hell that was in Russia.
It was a launch silo.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, you see that trailer, you expect, okay, the airfield battle is either in the beginning, that's either the first act action scene, or that's the ending. And then that happens in the movie, and you're like, there's more.
When they did the Ant-Man getting big thing, I just had this sort of moment of just like, I can't believe that they're doing this!
Oh,
like, it had this sort of like...
Good kept secret, too. Not in a single trailer, or even an indication in any of the trailers.
Yeah.
I was genuinely surprised when that happened.
I was super surprised.
And I was like, this is fucking good.
Obviously, a lot of people praise it as, like, have already been praising it as, like, maybe the best superhero action scene ever, and, like, it deserves that. Like, because it's...
Spider-Man, too.
And why it deserves it is, I think, because, like, they're constantly being creative. Like, because in your brain, you're going, like... Alright, so all of them are gonna fight. What are you gonna do that's gonna blow my mind? And then they do something like the giant Ant-Man thing. Part of my brain goes, a little bit goofy, but then they follow it up immediately with Tony Stark saying that line where it's like, okay, if anyone on my team has an amazing power, can you do it right now, please? And also like, and it's also in Paul Rudd's reaction where he's kind of just like, ooh, like he's as amazed.
Yeah. That's what I'm really looking forward to the MCU is oddball couples, because Falcon and Winter Soldier, very funny in this movie.
It's incredible.
Every time they interacted, and like they played up the fact that it's just like we're both Captain America's best friends.
Exactly. So much stuff just kept happening, and that could be exhausting, but I was just like...
And it was also weird. There was something about, as well, like, the awareness of, like, Tony says, we're going to this thing, Queens, and we know who Spider-Man is, so the movie knows that pop culturally we are so familiar with it, so it dares to just have to introduce Spider-Man in, like, a scene in a bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
And there was something about, like, one of my friends told me afterwards, he was like, that might have been like the best superhero introduction ever, because of just how like oddball it was. Both Spidey and Black Panther have this kind of like, they were really like that.
But this is a good chance to transition to Black Panther. They did Black Panther dirty in this movie. I'm sorry. He was cool. So? All his action scenes were cool. They did not develop T'Challa at all as a character, except for the super heavy-handed of, I learned that vengeance is not the way!
I've spent the last 24 years thinking it was T'Challa.
Oh. No, it's actually,
and then he like said it, and I'm like, Oh.
You were briefly taken out of the movie.
Everyone else is.
I'm an idiot.
You ever have that moment like when you're just like everyone else is wrong, just for the split second that somebody corrects you?
They said it wrong in the movie. That must be so embarrassing for
Although,
fans of the Black Panther.
Everyone.
You know, with him, I will say I don't think he was done dirty. That's one of those things too. Where inside,
use the phrase,
done dirty. You feel good. Inside of that movie is a origin movie for a completely other superhero.
And that's bad.
A completely I disagree. I thought it was just like I mean, it's economic, so you can see it. I could see it being a little bit
he's
too
like the IKEA of superhero movies.
Bullet
but
points.
it's for the bare minimum of what you need.
It's refreshing, but it is refreshing in a world where we became so familiar with like the first movie does the origin story,
and it still is an origin. But I mean, you think of it, it's like a step in the right direction because it happens within this bigger thing. So you're like, okay. They still have this kind of like royalty system in their country. They're very technologically advanced. That suit is like friggin' bulletproof. You understand it's been passed down from generations. He loved his father. His father said thank you for being there. He clearly doesn't like politics. His father's dead. He wants to avenge his father. Learns a lesson in humility. He's gonna run his country now. And you're like, oh my fucking god! There was also this whole other thing with the guy with the arm and the
I don't know, dude, because I disagree. Because I feel like it hit all the points. I was like, done. All right, let's fucking go. All right, it's like you're in an amusement park and you have your bully older brother who's like, we gotta hit all these fucking rides before this thing.
I understand that.
Wow, that just got way too real. And he has that great line where he says like, I am a warrior and a king. How can you keep him from me? And it's like, oh, this guy's going to be an issue. And then he wasn't. It's frustrating me as a fan of Black Panther.
I like to think that like both Spidey and Black Panther fans will walk out of this movie being like, wow, I'm just fucking stoked for the because
Spidey wasn't a cornerstone of the movie. Just a coming. He was there as a little garnish, a little spice for Iron Man. It was cool. Black Panther has an integral plort. He's got an integral plort. He only has 6 months to live.
What the hell happened to you?
Plot point. You ever get so mad you just bloop? Black Panther is central to the plot, or at least plays a big part at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And for them to kind of sideline that kind of a character, it's frustrating me. To me, structurally, the movie looks like a TV show. Because what do? We like check in with different characters, shift the focus. We have one main character, Captain America, but they also spend time with the villain, Iron Man, more or less the villain. It's very much structured like a TV show, like a prime-time TV show. And that just kind of speaks to my point of it being movie TV.
But I just also maybe I need to see it again and it'll be clear. And I'm like, I'm kind of like I'm giving this too much credit for its structure. But I just like the whole time I was in that, I was just so along for it. There was a battle and then he's arrested. It's like not even in the middle of the movie. Captain America gets arrested, and you're like, what is happening?
Speaking of like, because for instance, like everyone who I went to see it with liked it, and like including the people who like had missed the last few, etc. They were just checking in, like because they're watching these movies like illy-nilly, like the one that like looks interesting, or like it's like illy-nilly. That's like I got weird when it said it.
Well, I mean it's willy-nilly.
Yeah, like
illy-nilly is my rap name.
Yeah. People are coming into these movies and they might not have like seen like some of the other ones. And you are going to get to this point where people are going to go like, wait, what can this person do? People have a basic enough understanding of like each of these characters that like they're fine. Mm-hmm. That is eventually going to be a problem. A friend of mine was confused, for instance, about like Tony's heart, like when the ending with Cap and the Shield, because for instance they didn't understand that they were just depowering the suit because they'd missed Iron Man 3,
where he gets healed.
Like so it's like little things like that where like, and here's the thing. Not enough to take them out of the movie, and maybe they're gonna keep being strategic with it, that it's like never gonna be like too big, but there's gonna be something interesting at some point. The way I brought my parents along to The Force Awakens, that kind of works, because The Force Awakens was like new-ish, and you could totally jump into it. Like if I brought my dad along to Civil War, I feel like it would just, he'd just be like, I hate this. Because he just would be like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah, but there's like 3 20-minute chase scenes in the movie. Everything else is just math. It doesn't actually matter until we're actually applying it, and that's what people really want to see. But my problem is that, oh man, we are gonna get over fucking stimulated. The clash will come when Guardians comes to Earth.
Yeah.
That is, everything's gonna get fucked. And the only way that we can fix it, I thank Marvel Jesus Kevin Feige every day that XMen is not in the MCU. every goddamn day of my life. I say,
Can you
Kevin,
imagine?
thanks. A lot of speeches in this movie that were very heavy-handed and very obvious what they were doing. A little frustrating where it's when he's at Peggy's funeral and it's just like, you know, Peggy always used to say this whole thing. It's just says the perfect thing that he needed to hear at that time.
It's weird. I feel an urge to defend it again though, because just before their ideological conflict, part of the reasoning behind why they feel the way they feel is reiterated within the movie.
Yeah.
You know, I thought for a second Spidey was gonna switch in the battle.
Yeah, me too.
Like in the I thought they were gonna do like a little nod to it.
They could still do that.
because
They could do that in Homecoming because he's going to be in the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in the movie. And, like...
And now we live in this world where this superhero registration act, or whatever the fuck it's called in this.
Yeah.
The scrotum agreements. But knowing what's coming of the Infinity War, where it's just like, these guys need to be off the leash. They can't be like behind a bunch of...
Plort! This movie, the stuff that goes down in the movie will have consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
it feels way more consequential than Age of Ultron did, because when Age of Ultron ended, I remember sort of having a feeling of like, sure.
Yeah.
Like, we're kind of just back in a new building.
So overall, Age of Ultron doesn't matter.
Well, you would think right at the end of that they would all have some pretty harsh reasons to disagree with each other already.
Yeah.
Like, no, remember when we all said, don't make that robot?
Yeah.
You did it.
Anyway.
Plort!
All of this matters in a way that it didn't matter before. And they did it, you know, you saw the ramifications of even the first Avengers. You saw, like, the Battle of New York was, like, a thing that had ripple effects, but not like this. And now it's kind of cool knowing everything's going to hold a way different weight, because we've been taught now, every time there's a fight scene, I mean, even, you know, in the airport, when they're fighting, you're like, don't break anything, because, like, you already know the whole world gets pissed. Now, every time there's one of these fights, when Infinity War happens, when, like, friggin', you know, space aliens are visiting again, it's gonna come up again. Like, would they have come if you guys weren't here? If it wasn't for this dude with the friggin' thing that the bad purple guy wants?
Oh, it's also the poignancy of Vision being the one to deliver that line of, like, power invites challenge or whatever he says.
Man.
And he's gonna come to Earth because of you. Literally because of that thing on your forehead is why Thanos is telling you. Which is also, that's really interesting.
And it's also
poignancy,
weird
very
looking
good
forward where you're just
foresight.
like, so Vision's toast at some point.
But he also literally says, maybe one day I won't need it.
Yeah. Kind of like how Iron Man doesn't need the arc reactor. I don't know, maybe some kind of strange parallel between the
Cap left his shield and
At one point, one of these guys needs to fucking bite it. And I'm not talking about Coulson.
I thought this was it.
Yeah,
I thought this
I'm
one
talking
was the
about one of the main characters needs to fucking
not
and
really.
it'll be sad. And I'll
They wouldn't even
enjoy
kill
being
Rhodey.
sad.
They wouldn't even kill Rhodey. They had to give him robo legs. They didn't have the fucking balls to kill one of the two white main characters' black peppy friends, because there was a scene where literally I sat there and realized that both Captain America and Iron Man have a sassy black friend, and I was like, oh, this is weird. I feel weird about this.
So your next thought was kill one. Falcon was awesome in this, and I didn't care for him. I remember making a joke about Falcon being like a new character, but it was like, oh, he's less Iron Man.
Yeah, he's Iron Man with shittier
less stuff.
Yeah,
But in this, like from the first scene, I was like, I loved him like doing the like friggin' looking like a Falcon, blocking bullets. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it was great stuff.
Made me excited for like Vulture, because
I was literally about to say the same thing, because that's what it's gonna look like, right?
You could do a whole thing of like they stole Adrian, and they stole Adrian Toomes' designs or something, and he
or
something
shit,
like
they
that.
don't say where his gear came from.
No, he's just like, I never said I flew in a plane, and you're like, didn't say you were a bird guy.
All right, final thoughts
Sorry, man.
on Captain America: Civil War.
I feel like this was. It felt long in the perfect way. I liked how long it was, and I didn't know everything that was going to happen. You just understood everyone. You understood every single person.
Yeah, a lot of it was seeing Spidey, like, because for me personally, like has always been my favorite superhero. So like there was something about like I came in my SpiderMan shirt. I didn't come in like my friends were all in like Team Cap or Team like it was just like one of those things where I was just like I'm Team Spider-Man. There was just something about seeing that character on screen interacting with all those people and then having all the jokes like I loved when he was like, have you guys seen that really old movie?
Oh, great.
So on a Disney level, like there's something about like
reference one
That's
of our own
so
properties.
weird.
We own the universe.
yeah, just total fun.
It is fun. I mean, I'm arguably like the harshest nerd of this bunch, I think, but I'm also not because I don't care.
You mean like about like
Anything. I could never say that this is a great movie. And it's almost certainly not a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. You're out of your fucking mind. You're on some kind of weird superhero sliding scale, or Marvel movie sliding scale, should I say, if you think it's 92. This is a 75 movie.
So this shouldn't fucking work, bro.
It doesn't, exactly. I could never suggest this is a really good movie. If you go see this movie, you will have a fucking great time. So let's do a three-headed critic. I'll start it off this time. We'll go 1, 2, 3.
Great.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Interesting.
Do you know how this game works?
I have no clue what you guys are doing. You're like, we're gonna do 300 critic, and I just saw what's happening.
Okay,
and you just went interesting and just write it.
Structure?
Fun.
Are we just supposed to make a sentence?
We're not just saying words.
No.
You just go with Jesus.
Jesus, approve.
If you like this, please like the video, leave a comment below. This is TimH, I'll link his channel. That's Dom, I'll link his channel. If you like this, please consider donating to our Patreon, giving to the pizza, donating, throwing money at my Patreon. Thank you so much, guys. Good night.
Jesus H. Christ.
What a nightmare.